Pelicans traded for Dejounte Murray. With all the headlines and rumors about Paul George and Klay Thompson, I feel like this trade kind of went under the radar today. Because this low-key was a big trade. I mean, Dejounte Murray is not some small name. Like, Dejounte Murray is a pretty big name. And I get it, he's not Klay Thompson or Paul George. I completely get that. But I'm just saying, like, someone of Dejounte Murray's caliber on any other day would have had way more attention. And honestly, I think this was an amazing trade for the Pelicans. Like, they did this trade without having to give up too much. I will say I am a Dyson Daniels fan. I thought he always played well when he got in the rotation. But the thing about the Pelicans that I said all last year and stuff like that is that they were so talented. And that was kind of the problem. They had so many guys, or too many guys rather, that like you could play. You could go 12 deep on that roster. And they were quality players. The problem with that was they couldn't get in the rotation. So for someone like Dyson Daniels, who played well in the minutes that he did play, he could never get a consistent role because he was still learning how to play in the NBA because he was still super young, like a lottery pick. I think he was the 9th overall pick, correct me if I'm wrong. So like, he has the upside and the talent. So when he goes to Atlanta, we'll see what happens. But he could never crack the rotation consistently. So I was kind of sad to see him go from the Pelicans, but I do think it's a better opportunity for him so he can get more playing time. Other than that, it was Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr., and 2 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray. This is an awesome, awesome trade for the Pelicans. Now, Larry Nance's impact on the Pelicans is underrated because every time he came in, he made things happen. So, like, he was very good there as well. But Dejounte Murray is kind of what they needed. Because if you think about it, they had Jose Alvarado, who we know is, Grand Theft Alvarado, stealing balls from people and stuff like that. Very, very pesky defender, stuff like that. And CJ McCollum, has the ability to play some point guard. But they were kind of similar to the Suns, running lineups without a true point guard. Is he Tyrese Halliburton or Chris Paul in their prime? Not necessarily. But Dejounte Murray is kind of as close to pass first but still can score as you can get in the league. I'm not saying he's on the scoring level of some other guards, but in terms of him being, like I said, more like Halliburton in terms of like being willing to be a pass first point guard but at the same time can still score, he's one of the best at that. In San Antonio, he was getting triple doubles like left and right. I mean, I don't know how many he actually ended up with, but if he didn't get a triple double, it was like 20 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. Like, he was making everything happen like in every category. Dejounte Murray was an all-star. This is literally exactly what the Pelicans needed. Like I said, someone to run the show, so to speak. Someone to get Zion some really, really good looks. Get Trey Murphy some really good wide open looks from the corner for 3. CJ McCollum can create his own shot, but again, get him some open looks. Have someone who can create for everybody. And then Dejounte Murray can literally take over a game himself. We've seen him do it a bunch of times. He can drop his own 30 points and just cook everybody and be on a heater. So, like, you're getting the best of both worlds with him. And one of his skills that are just being forgotten about was his defense. He was known as being one of the best to defend at the guard position when he was with San Antonio. When he got to the Hawks, we didn't see it as much. Whatever. But he was known in San Antonio for his defense. So, like, the Pelicans are getting someone who has those defensive abilities. Someone who can be a two-way player, so to speak. And all they had to give up was Larry Nance, who, again, was very, very good. But they need someone like Dejounte Murray more on the roster. And I think Dejounte Murray will have more of an impact. And I think will obviously be a starter. And then Dyson Daniels, like I said, nice young player, fan of his. Couldn't crack the rotation and wasn't going to be able to. He was just too young, too inexperienced. And so this is a steal for the Pelicans. From the Hawks' perspective, this trade makes sense in the sense that we kind of knew that Dejounte Murray or Trae Young, one of them was going to be traded, and it was likely going to be Dejounte Murray. So I don't have an issue with them trading Dejounte Murray because, again, we all, or a lot of us, thought it was going to happen. And I don't have an issue with getting 2 first-round picks. And like I said, Dyson Daniels, like, he has a lot of upside. I don't have any problem with that. My only question is, what direction are they going in? Like, they just got the number 1 pick and they drafted him. Now they traded for a young Dyson Daniels. They have Jalen Johnson, very young. Onyeka Okongwu, if you watch this page, I'm a fan of his. He's still young. And it's not that Trey Murphy. It's not that Trae Young is old at all. Because remember, he was in the same draft class as Luka. So Trae Young is 25, 26. So it's not that he's old at all. But they're going really young now. Like, we're talking 19. Dyson Daniels probably 20, 21 maybe. And then Jalen Johnson, 20, 21, 22. I don't know. But the point is, like, they're going younger and younger. And those guys have a ton of upside and potential. And the number 1 pick, obviously, in the draft, super young. But Trae Young is definitely more of a win-now player. He does have a window, because, again, he's like 26. So it's not like if they won the year after next year, it would be bad, but they don't have the roster to compete within the next 2 years. And I don't think they're trading Trae Young. So my question would just be like, and they have still DeAndre Hunter. If you watch this page, you also know I'm a fan of his. They still have Clint Capella there. But I guess my question is going to be like, maybe this is what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to see how this season plays out. They got the number 1 pick, so, we got to see what happens there with him. And obviously, again, Dyson Daniels should get some playing time. And so maybe they're just going to try to see, do those young guys, we know Jalen Johnson had a very good season, but can those 3 young guys immediately show flashes of not just like good player, but flashes of like, oh, they could change our franchise. And then maybe they trade Trae Young after that. And if those 3 players don't show that, maybe they go the opposite direction, like, hey, we have the number 1 pick from last year. And we have Dyson Daniels and all these players. I'm not trying to call for them to be traded again. But I'm just saying, like, then they could be like, we have this package of super talented young players. Are you trying to rebuild? Give us a star back in return. And then they take that star and pair him with Trae Young. So we'll see what they do. So for the Hawks, I don't think it's a great trade until I know what direction they're trying to go in. But for the Pelicans, 10 out of 10.